Hey there, I'm Tom Leonard. I'm the host of the Gamers Change Lives podcast. When it comes to esports, I'm definitely not the expert. I'm more of an explorer. The goal behind the podcast is to hear from esports entrepreneurs from all over the world, to hear their stories, to learn how esports can create jobs, and to hopefully inspire others to do the same. Our tagline is play games, create jobs, change lives. And today I'm honored to have Ulises Fahnert from Santiago, Chile. And I'm going to have him pronounce his name because it sounds really, really good when he pronounces his name. He's the founder of NowPlayNoGames and has many years of experience in a wide variety of esports ventures. Welcome, Ulises.
Thank you very much for having me, Leonard. Nice to talk with you.
Yes, yes. Now, I saw your vision of creating content for esports to generate 100 million views around the world. And we'll talk about that in a minute because that's a great goal there. But first, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about esports in your part of the world. Now, are you in Chile right now?
I'm in Chile right now, yeah.
Great, great. You're the first guest we've had on the Gamers Change Lives podcast from South America. So can you describe a little bit about what esports, what's going on with esports in your part of the world?
Okay, after we have like a big push in 2019 from companies like Riot, Garena, EA, and like all the major companies was trying to develop like an ecosystem here and everything. But after the COVID starts, the pandemic hits, everything start to growing like slow, and like the at my opinion, like the all the effort for from the United States company went over Brazil looking for big audience numbers and everything. And right now we are like a little bit under the weather here in Chile, Argentina, Peru, Colombia, because there's initiatives on esports from like the big companies, but it's not enough, and the ecosystem is not growing at the same rhythm or level that was supposed to be, or in comparison with United States or other parts of the world. Right now, we are like a little low.
Got it. Got it. Could you describe for the audience here a little bit more about South America? Because a lot of times we think of South America as being just one big place. But what I hear you describing is you have Brazil and you have other countries. Can you kind of describe the difference between some of the countries there?
Oh, okay. One important difference is like the language barrier. In Brazil, they speak Portuguese, and in the other rest of the countries here in Latin America, we speak Spanish. And for that reason, that is the first big difference to understand like Brazilian market. They are like another things to see and to try to understand. But on the other hand, we have some other difference, like for example, the internet connection over the places. Like the Chilean, from my country, we have the best internet about quality, speed, and everything than Brazil or Argentina or Peru or Uruguay. And for example, Mexico, that we consider as Latin America too, they have some pretty big, strong points over being around like United States market. And for example, the Riot offices, uh, they take it from Santiago to Ciudad de Mexico 2 years ago because they want to develop like a strategy over there with North America division, and they are trying to do like another thing from Mexico. And we have like that kind of difference about the audience numbers, internet connection, internet speed, and the possibility that people have to buy video games or to having video games because the economic difference between the countries.
No, that's interesting. One of the things that we hear a lot from, particularly from some of the guests that we've had in Africa, is that it's the location of the servers are so important to how what the ping rate is for wherever you are. And some in sub-Saharan Africa, for example, where Reginald is at, a lot of times the ping rate is so much slower when people there are trying to play people in Europe or in other places. There's some servers I think in South Africa, but are ping rates an issue in your part of the world?
Yeah, that's quite funny here in Chile because over that problem, we developed like a series of players that overcame this problem, and they are pretty good with that ping difference. And games like League of Legends and like FIFA and other, they learn how to play with that big ping difference in Chile. It's a thing, but right now like the big competitions are like in physical places. They struggle with that kind of difference during these competitions over Rio de Janeiro. For example, next month, on August, we are going to have a Festi game again after being shut down for 2 years because the pandemic. The Festi game is the second most large video game exposition or exhibition here in Latin America, and we are going to have like the physical event this year again.
No, that sounds great. Do you think there are going to be changes in the hardware, in the location of servers? Do you think it's going to change, or do you think it's going to stay pretty much the same?
To be pretty honest about like the server location, and I'm not an expert in that field. I have like the minimal knowledge about it, and for what I know right now about Microsoft and everything, there's no will be changes in the near future.
Got it. Got it. No, it's really interesting that you bring up the fact that training with a bad ping rate can make you really good when you go to some place where the ping rate is good. I always go back to the example with Anubis. When Anubis in Egypt, and they were playing Valorant, and then they got to the Red Bull Campus Clutch in Spain, I think it was, and it's like the ping rate was so much better. But they had trained, just like you're describing, trained with a not so great ping rate. So it, they were a great team for all kinds of reasons, but it certainly didn't hurt them that they had that kind of training there. Do you think of Mexico as being different in the esports world than in South America?
Mexico is like quite similar to Brazil because the big numbers about audience they can bring into the table. For that reason, it's a very important market, and yeah, it's quite important and can make a difference between like the other Latin America places because they have like a deep knowledge about the show business with music, with the movie industry that you know pretty well. They already know how to do some things that in other places in Latin America we don't have culture about that kind of businesses. And for that reason, Mexico is have a strong potential over the esports development.
Yes, yes. Do you find that in your part of the world, are there government organizations that play a big role in esports?
This is a really good question because I start my work on esports as a lobbyist, trying to go with the government and ask them to have an opinion over the esports development. We reunite like 3 times with the people from the sport minister, and they have a pretty small view over the esports phenomenon and from like the industry because they don't understand this as an industry. They was trying to develop programs to keep people moving, take the people from the seats and make them go to do physical activity, and for that reason they never understood really well about what esports is meant to be or what is developing right now around esports. But we was like working, I think my last meeting with them was like 2 or 3 months ago. In the public lobby register is registered that meeting, and we changed our government here in Chile uh, 5 months ago, and the new government have like a youngest vision over the industry, and they know that there's opportunity, and would like to present esports law in the Congress or something like that, because we are seeing that Spain have that, Brazil have that, about like the visa sponsorship. It's really important to get the players going abroad and all that kind of things that can result quite difficult to develop the without the government understanding and support of the government.
No, that's really interesting. We were talking with Mitch Esquera from Galaxy Racer, and talking about, because Galaxy Racer appears to be doing tremendous things with different government agencies, and they're huge. So I mean, they get a lot of attention, but he was describing the fact that governments need the esports players. They need to be talking to the younger audience, and he felt that that esports needed the government to give them more legitimacy in as far as in the industry. So it's just interesting to hear how it's working in different countries, because in the United States, the government does not play much of a role when it comes to esports, just the way that it is organized. Now, I want to ask also about, because I know when we talked before, you were doing many different things in different cultures, and can you describe a little bit about how you can work in esports across different cultures? Because a lot of the people that we're talking to, let's say if they're in Africa, for example, if you're in Africa, you might be in West Africa speaking French versus Central Africa or East Africa speaking English, and so on. Can you explain a little bit how you see esports being able to communicate across different languages?
That is a pretty interesting thing to speak about, because first of all, as a gamer, you speak like the international language of the game that you want to play, or where your friends at, and everyone around the world that play Call of Duty know some kind of gameplays or some kind of stuff you can do, and you can communicate just playing that, and that is the magic of the video games. And you have the like all that development of the culture of the group identity. You already have it constructed by the video game itself, and for that reason it's really easy to work abroad or with intercultural connections over esports. For me, was pretty easy to establish India team, United States team, Spain team. With Spain is more obvious that is easy because we speak Spanish as a mother language. But after that, like everyone in all the world, you should know pretty well the case in Africa, but every part of the world there are gamers, are communities, are people trying to work on this and work without money flow, and like everyone is like so excited about what is coming in the for the industry, which companies will going to stand with leagues as operators. This maximum care that everyone have with the gambling companies over the esports, and for that reason, it's like the industry is pretty magical at this time, because everyone is trying to do something with the best intentions and with a few resources. If you see the case is not so different, maybe in Europe or other places, that it's okay. United States and Europe and China are being like the leading about raising investment on esports and everything, but there's a lot of people from that places that is trying to do things for free, trying new tournaments, trying um, new games, trying to develop skillful players to go around and try to earn some prizes. And for that reason, it's like pretty magical about like the multiculturalism that came with esports in this stage of the industry.
Yeah, yeah. You're talking very much like Mitch was when he was talking about the people in in the Philippines. He was using the Philippines as an example. They would watch the players from Thailand to learn from them, learn from their videos. It's like it didn't make any difference that they couldn't speak any of the language, but they're learning their Mortal Kombat moves and everything along those lines. What games are popular in esports in your down there?
We follow the lead over like the most important markets. Number one still being League of Legends. Uh, Today you have Apex Legends in a pretty good position over popularity of the game. Call of Duty is another one that you can always have on top. The FIFA soccer game is pretty popular here in Latin America. Uh, there are a lot of people trying to do leagues and everything about that. Rocket League is another big title, and it's like the same. If you saw like the ranking of Twitch of the content most watched in Latin America, we are super good copycats over United States culture. We love United States culture and video games and everything.
It's interesting you bring up Twitch. What platforms do people use to stream esports there? Is Twitch popular?
Not so popular. It's popular between gamers, yeah, but it's not quite popular like mainstream. That is a position that Twitch cannot feel complete until this moment. There are like a lot of streaming platforms trying to take that market share or that audience, and nobody is really taking that because the audience is going like everywhere. Facebook gaming, YouTube gaming and everything. Twitch is quite popular, as I told you, with the gamers, like with the hard gamers. We have, for example, three or four like good streamer that only have their content on Twitch. Aikata is like a really big female streamer here that people love her. She also made to open TV broadcasting from Twitch because she was going so popular on Twitch that one TV channel decided to hire her to the prime time shows and everything. And but it's a really good question because nobody is taking like that position seriously, and Twitch is not connecting so good with Latin American community because I think they have like a depth over a speaking Spanish speaking content.
Yeah, yeah. We I get different answers from all around the world, which is always interesting to see what platform people are using. A lot of people seem to be using Facebook, like you mentioned, Facebook gaming and YouTube gaming more than Twitch for all kinds of bandwidth and other kind of reasons out
For
there.
example, in Peru, Facebook gaming is getting really really big. They are getting like 20 or 40 streamers like pretty popular that you connect right now, and they have like 50,000 people over their content. It's crazy the work that Facebook gaming is doing in Peru.
No, no, it's interesting. Yeah, yeah, just you different. You'd think that things would be kind of the same, but they're not for different reasons. Now, I should have asked you this at the beginning. What got you into esports?
Like a personal path for a love. I was pretty in love in that time when I decided to start working on esports, and because of that, I want to travel abroad to see this person. And for me, was like a pretty nice idea to start working on esports because was a really open. Industry of being abroad doing projects or going to I don't know there and every country has its own exposition, like Festi Game here in Chile. There is the Brazil Rio Game Show, Cologne in Deutschland, uh, United States, the E3, and so on. For that reason, I start working on esports because in that moment, I want to travel abroad for personal reasons, and this was a really good industry to develop that kind of work of being working abroad in different projects in several countries, as I did it in 2018 and 2019 until the pandemic starts and everything kind of stopped. And right now, everyone is like traveling again. But in our mission as No Play No Games, we are trying to wait a little bit more because we get into a very comfortable position of developing esports tournaments, uh, working like online, Zoom, and everything, and we are managing and handling that really well. That is not so necessary to be traveling all the time again.
Yes, yes, different world that's changing all the time. That it impacts everyone. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about now play no games. And you're talking about I still like your vision there to have 100 million viewers, concurrent viewers out there. One of the things that we hear about a lot on this podcast, the people that we've been lucky enough to talk to, most of them talk about things that are really, really big. People think really, really big. And that's really good because that's where you create jobs and that's where you change lives. And, and some people don't think as big as others. 100 million, that's a big number. Can you
Yeah,
talk a little bit more about what you're up to with that?
yeah. The first thing with the 100 million was because as No Play No Games, we want to be like the company to put together a content for Spanish speaking markets that can make the esports mainstream. Okay, and we understood that esports are not being mainstream because there's something lacks in the content that nobody is like feeling that. And for example, another company that we was looking at in Los Angeles was the Face Clan, for example, but they are a team. And after that, we start looking at Ben TV. I don't know if you know about them. Was like they are trying to develop like a MTV for esports. BENN. You can check it later. And
I'll do
we
that.
yeah, and we start like looking at them because they raise investment and everything, and they are wanting to do something worldwide, but they focus it on the United States market. And for that reason, to us, understanding that if we want to break the content barrier to be like real mainstream, like to everyone, to your mother, to start getting esports and start getting this and share about like the personalities that came in from the video games and make these people real popular. We understand that a good number to do that was making a content that reached 100 millions in one day, and we are trying to do the research because we are trying to do this with the minimum cost possible, uh, developing content, for example, over India. That is really important about the number because at our final plan, I plan to get at least 8 million of concurrent viewers from India. Right now, we are in 1 million with the tournaments that we are doing, like one every 4 or 3 months. But we are spending little money about that. We only are spending in prices for the audience, prices for the players, some incentives for like the organizations over there to participate in our tournaments. And we are doing a lot with really few resources. And I'm pretty happy about that because I'm looking all the time about like these big investment firms that went over esports, and right now the numbers are not so happy for them because they enter in the state of the market that was super difficult because of COVID and everything. But right now they maybe don't know how to bring money back, and they spend a lot trying to be in this magical business that is esports, and that everyone in 2019 want to get in because everyone knows this is the future of the marketing on the advertising business. Because if your son start playing with 6 years Fortnite or something like that, and in your Fortnite game you engage at the 6 8 Coca-Cola or something like that, your son going to have that in the brain over whole his life. It depends how many time he spent playing Fortnite or any game, and for that reason, it's a really good business as the advertising point of view. And for that reason, everyone know that esports will be like the next big thing over advertising, and for that reason everyone want to go in 2019. But nobody knows really about like the um, gaming culture that is behind that, and it's not so easy just to take the gamer as a consumer. You have to understand a lot of things. You have to play along with them. The games change all the time. A game that is popular for 5 years, maybe that the 7 year will not be popular no more. And we need that because we need the video game industry evolve all the time. And I personally believe that is coming a game that will change everything and going to be like play soccer or basketball for esports. And I'm pretty sure that that game is doesn't exist in this moment.
No,
Is maybe developing in some laboratory in Santa Monica or something like that. But I think there's a game that will going to change everything for everyone, and that is coming because esports need that game. Maybe it's a update of a game that we already have or something like that. But I personally don't believe that. I think it's a new game that will change everything, and you can will play from your every phone, and everyone going to wanting to play this and everything.
no, one of the things I like hearing you talk about is esports is entertainment, and entertainment is based on content. I
Correct.
mean, and a lot of times people lose sight of that, or they just don't put the dots together, and they don't think of it, which I really like hearing you talk about. Just the entertainment aspect of esports, and what I hear you talking about is you're wanting to bring it into the mainstream. And I was wondering if you could expand on that a little bit, because I think that's really curious. Because you're talking about, there's tons of content out there, and but a lot of times, as you're describing it, people don't think of esports as being entertainment the same way. And to bring it over and to be more in the mainstream, what has to happen there, do you think?
I think that to like really going into the mainstream is going to be like because of a crisis, uh, job crisis. Because I am looking about the automatization and the robots industry developing and taking like jobs and everything. I know in your podcast you covered this subject before, but I think in some point people will be kind of forced to play on the phone or something like that to earn money. Play to earn will be like like the mainstream thing in some moment, I think. And I think that is the moment that esports will take over, because you are going to find on esports a possibility of developing yourself, having a salary or something like that. And I think that will be the break to the mainstream connection for everyone with the game esports, and with the play to earn game model that I think it's coming.
No, it's interesting to get your take on it, because you're someone who's out there doing things in this space. It's like a lot of people are talking about it and thinking about it, but you're out there doing things. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you a little bit more is about what you're doing in India, because I think that is really interesting that you're in Chile and you've got these connections all over the world, but you somehow focus a lot of your attention on India. How did that come about, and how's that working for you?
Because in 2020 I went over Brazil to see the opportunity if I can start with No Play No Games developing tournaments. We was thinking in that moment in Free Fire tournaments and Fortnite. And when I went over Brazil with pandemic in that time, I went in the time of the carnival. Was craziness over there, and I saw that it was not like a really good time for Brazil to trying to develop like league or something like that, because people was thinking in other things in that moment. Was everything so difficult to like to get the food to the table for the families and everything, that maybe was a not so good time to start like developing this try to take over esports world over Brazil, because to be honest, in Brazil we was also looking for 5 or 3 million of concurrent viewers for like our final content that we want to develop to reach the 100 millions. And after that, when I realized that Brazil was not in the mood, I think, for trying to do what I was trying to, automatically think, okay, when I can look for that kind of numbers with kind of the same conditions, because doing things in Brazil or in India is really cheap in this moment. For example, with the same budget that maybe I will run only one tournament in the United States, I can do four in India, and paying really good money for people there that can provide like sustain to their families and everything. And for that reason was for me, I get inspired to work over India, because I change some people's lives over there, working with esports and doing these tournaments and organizing that things, getting new devices for some players. And there's people that, for example, it's not with my company anymore, but Kumar, a guy that I met over LinkedIn, he won like 2 or 3 tournaments of Free Fire here, and he's paying the rent for his family. It's crazy how, and his family cannot believe, because it's money from video games and esports competences. And that kind of things are pretty good, and for me give my heart full of inspiration to continue to do things, because maybe here in Chile I have a pretty good situation. United States, I know, I was living there in 2019, and people in places like India or Brazil can do a lot with so few, that if we concentrate the efforts over there, maybe we can get like some pretty incredible things from that places.
No, that's exactly what we're talking about here on this podcast, is how esports can create jobs and it can change lives. And you just said it really well there. So in India, when you're creating teams or creating tournaments in different parts of the world,
I will
one of the
start in okay. I will start in India like sponsoring with my other revenues from what I was doing United States and Chile and everything. I start sponsoring tournaments, give them like I don't know $1,000 per prices to the tournament and everything. And after I sponsor a few tournaments, I get to know like the environment over there, how it works. And after that, I decide to go with the own tournament and with a few of own teams that we are in this moment developing. My personal desire is to develop a Dota team. We are under construction of that, But in this moment, for me, it's getting really clearly to do tournaments because I'm getting like sponsors from United States, some people over Peru, Argentina that, hey, I want to sell fruits over India and I'm sporting, I have a company and you can provide a tournament over there. Then 1 million people are looking for your tournament, are watching your tournament, maybe can help me to sell my product over there. And I came into this place without looking for that because I was trying to develop esports environment. But right now we are figuring out that we can provide like a marketing solution for companies that want to enter to India and sell their products.
No, no, one of the things I really like hearing you talk about is sponsorship, and because my philosophy is follow the money. It's like that's what makes things make things happen. Now you were a sponsor. You were a sponsor. Can you talk about from a sponsorship, because a lot of people that are going to be listening are going to be esports entrepreneurs, and most people are going to be saying, "How can I get sponsors?" Can you talk a little bit about from the sponsor perspective, what is a sponsor looking for when they're looking for an event or a team to sponsor? What kind of traits do you think stand out?
In like the particular case is different like the general case because for example I was looking to only to have presence in the India market with no play no games because in that time I was not looking to sell anything to them because I was trying to reach the audience, trying to understand the audience, to put numbers together over this content to 100 million that someday we want to launch. But after I get into the and I start like looking that like the every regular company looks in a tournament or a team, like the traction that they get from the audience, uh, clicks, current viewers in the tournament, if they after the competence have like other content on Twitch or social media or everything. You are looking for visibility all the time, like brand presence and everything, because you cannot ask to the esports organization to sell your product because it's not responsible from you as a brand to put all that. They are good in playing that game and that is okay. And if they are good over making a good marketing theme is another subject. They You have to see as good as in what they are supposed to be good, because I saw a lot of companies making this mistake of okay, we are going to sponsor your team but you have to sell 100 shares in 6 months, gaming shares, okay, and they don't deliver because they are not sellers. Not every people on Twitch or a streamer has to be a seller because people with good content will sell, obviously, but don't have to be the main instruction for them because the audience is the gaming audience is pretty smart. When they start looking at you are trying to push something, something, some product or everything, they cut you away right away. That is a really interesting thing about the gaming culture and the gaming audience, that they don't let anyone sell everything, but they buy things as skins. Like it's kind of difficult. I think you need to have an MBA or something in gaming culture to understand pretty well the economy flows of the gaming community.
What I hear you saying is that there's no blueprint, there's
Yeah.
no roadmap that everyone should be following. That when you went to India, you were looking at learning what the blueprint looked like in India, which is really, I think, a really smart way to do that. We could talk all night here about sponsorship because it's such an important thing in any esports business, whether you have a team, whether you have a tournament. I was going to ask you also about mobile. Is mobile the future of esports in your part of the world?
Yeah, without any doubt, I think will be for any company or anyone that understand a little bit about gaming. Gaming has to be with being relaxed, being focused, have your attention on that particular game, and for that reason, mobile will take everything because now you have your device all the time with you, and if you are in the subway or waiting for a doctor appointment, you can be competing on the esports competence, and uh, that that easy way of being part of this will take everything because you can be doing esports everywhere at any time, and with the advances in the technology of the VLAN or Wi-Fi connection that is everywhere now, uh, is things as incredible as with the war in Ukraine, they have like the satellite internet from Elon Musk, and for esports, the internet connection is to have the ball. Without internet connection, you can do anything. And having the internet connection, the next thing is you have your mobile device that allows you to play everywhere in any part of the world with a good ping. You can be competing, and if you know that you don't have a good ping on your mobile device, you are not going to participate in the final of the Call of Duty from that moment because you know about that gap. But I think mobile will take everything. I think we are facing like the last 7 or 8 years um of the PlayStation, Xbox, or that maybe they will develop mobile devices in the future. I don't know, but will be super easy to change all the logics of esports to mobile. I think the new generations will adapt as natives to that. They don't need so much push to change on that way because they are already doing that.
Yeah, that's what they grew up with.
Yeah.
They've never known. It's hard to believe there are people around that never knew the world before the internet or before everyone had a smartphone, and it's just it's just amazing. Do you think that the mobile future is going to impact the sponsorship side of things?
That is a really, really good question because I never thought about it. No, I never do a deep thinking about what you are saying right now. But of course, it will change it in pretty fascinating ways, I think. But in this moment, maybe I don't get to imagine how it will be. But of course, something have to change with that mobile culture device changes.
Do you
Yeah.
think? Do you think the games are keeping up with mobile?
I'm a personal user of Call of Duty mobile, and I'm play video games from my 6 years old. Now I'm 34, and the first time that I play Call of Duty mobile in a Samsung S22 device, like the last Samsung phone, I was like, wow. If I could have this in my hands as a kid, I was like blowing my mind. I was blowing my mind with Super Mario Kart in a Super NES, with the and now have like Call of Duty match in my phone, and then I can keep killing 100 people in a battle royale or something like that with a really good quality, because have a amazing FPR quality and everything that you can imagine is awesome. I think you are not so far away from the developing of PS5 mobile device with the same quality or something like that. I think with the advance in the chip technology that we are facing because COVID and everything, that the shortage we just have the last year, I think technology will look like pretty amazing in the future. We are like in this moment that everything is changing, and the augmented reality, the artificial intelligence, when that collide with the video games, will be like mind blowing.
Yes, yes, yes. It's going to be. It's always interesting to see how things are changing, and that's part of the fun, because again, there's no blueprint on what's going on out there. Do you see mobile in-person tournaments showing up?
Last year, when like the lockdowns start to easing here in Chile, I went over Colombia to study about some anti-corruption, to develop an anti-corruption technology for esports. That was I'm working in this moment right now. And I saw in Santiago the people from the Festi game do a Free Fire tournament with in person with mobile devices. They put like 10 chairs and 10 chairs, and the people was playing a big screen over the venue, and was pretty cool because also facilitates for the operator that everyone came with the device, and the connection and the logistic that you should do in a tournament get so much easy with the device mobile device tournaments. And for that reason, I think the industry will adapt that, like, not so soon maybe, because we need to leave a little more the PS5, Xbox, Nintendo last time of the big devices. But I think the operators of the tournaments and the and from the publishers will prefer mobile in the future, because it's cheaper for them to do all this structure for organizing the tournaments.
Yes, yes. Things are always changing. Hey, one last question here, and then we'll let you go. One last question that we ask everyone: should the Olympics include esports?
Of course,
Why?
of course. This is another pretty interesting question, because in 2019, one of the ideas of developing audience, we partner with a South Korean company called IEOC, International Esports Omnipotent Committee, and they was trying to put together the first Olympic esports intent. They was talking with the Olympic Committee and everything, and they do like a merge with the Olympic Committee in Busan that year. They make a citation over like 200 university teachers from all over Japan, South Korea, and some people from United States to discuss about this possibility. And for me, was pretty clear at the moment that everyone do the comparison with the chess game, because it's the same, you know. When you play chess, you made like another span of calories and a lot of other things that your brain is doing. It's different when you are relaxed watching Netflix on your television. You are not in the same mood and in the same state of conscience that when you are like competing with someone in Street Fighter or in Rocket League or anything, like your brain put you in a different mode when you are competing with another human being or with the technology from a video game. For that reason, I think it's no so much to debate, because if chess get that category to be considered, why not video games? It's like having quite similar features over like the competence behave that requires for a human being to be doing that. It's the same for chess. And for that reason, I think the discussion is like pretty simple in that kind of terms.
Yes, I think it's on its way. I mean, it's just a matter of time. There's so many good things for the Olympic side of it, because they're going to be in front of a different audience, but there's also a huge benefit to esports to get recognition by that kind of an organization. Hey, Ulises, I really appreciate your time. I don't want to take your whole night here, and
Oh, no, no.
didn't I
Later.
didn't have a chance. I didn't have a chance to talk about anti-corruption, and we'll do that again sometime, because I think that's really interesting and something that esports entrepreneurs should be thinking about. But I'm going to save that for another time, because we'll wrap it up here. So thanks again. Really great to hear more about what you're doing in South America, what you're doing in India, and all the great things, all the jobs that you are creating, all the lives that you are changing. That's great. So where can people find you online?
At my email, that is Ulises at NowPlayNoGames.com, and Instagram, UlisesCF. There's my main ways of contact in this moment, because we are having the website under construction yet, because the technology developing that we are trying to take. And for the tournaments in India, we are using like local distributors of content like Loco and other brands.
What was the Instagram name again? Just so I get it right.
Ulysses CF.
CF.
Yeah.
Great, great. Hey, I invite everyone to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media. That way you're going to be notified when the next episode comes out. We're going to be talking to a lot of other esports entrepreneurs, and really from all over the world. We're going to have some really good guests coming up later on that you don't want to miss, just like Ulises. Thank you, Ulises. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and wonderful podcast. Wish you all the best
Thank
luck,
you.
Leonard. Have a nice one.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone for listening. This is the Gamers Change Lives podcast. Play games, create jobs, change lives. Thanks.